Good afternoon. I hope you're going to see a bunch of big smiles on faces back here. We got a huge amen, folks, on this storm. I got to tell you, your mayor got a little dusty this morning looking out my window at City Hall as the dawn was beginning to come up over Jacksonville. I am just absolutely beyond grateful that we continue to be so blessed in this city that we have yet again avoided the worst of one of these monster storms. And I can't wait to tell you how well we did because of these folks and the team that we have that has worked so beautifully together through this process. And I say that not only to brag on them because I am so very proud of them, but to let you know that you have a great number of people who deeply love this city who are working very hard to protect it in times like this, and I'm extraordinarily proud of them. That said, we'll also tell you some things we want you to keep a lookout for, but let me give you the very latest at this point in terms of the weather. Milton exited the east coast of Florida, thank goodness. He did that near Cape Canaveral earlier this morning. The wind field is expanding offshore, and that's going to further contribute to ongoing surge along our beaches and on the St. Johns River through the afternoon high tide. And there's some concerns going forward with the king tides for the river. We remain right now under a tropical storm surge warning and a tropical storm warning, though we expect the tropical storm warning to drop sometime before 5 o'clock today, very likely. The hurricane and flood watches have been dropped. You still see some minor winds by then, but they'll continue to slow down as the day goes on. You're already seeing a precipitous drop off in most places. And marine conditions at the beach will remain dangerous. So our mayors at the beaches once again ask us to please remind you to stay out of the water today and tomorrow. There is still a risk of tidal flooding today between 1 and 5 p.m. when it's high tide. The highest risk is in the same suspects we have that flood sometimes even on a sunny day, okay? So San Marco, Riverside, Southampton, you need to stay alert if you're in one of the typical flood zones. To be clear, we are expecting road flooding primarily at this point. If you are in a particularly low-lying building structure that is in one of those places that floods, keep an eye on it and be aware. The flood water could get close to it. But what we're primarily expecting you to see is some roads that have to be closed off. And again, we're asking you to be very, very careful about driving through any flood water that you can't tell how deep it is. You don't know, and so we don't want to get into trouble there. We also anticipate the Kennight Drive area to flood between 3 and 5 today as well. With that in mind, residents can take the special shuttle to the Legend Center throughout today. A pickup is every 15 to 30 minutes, as it has been at Moncrief Road and Kennight Drive. Street flooding, as I said, will continue Friday afternoon and into next week during high tides as water from Central Florida moves up the river, and it comes our way because of those approaching king tides. All right, impacts. We are, as I said earlier, extraordinarily fortunate here in Jacksonville compared to the neighbors to our south in the Tampa Bay areas and the hardest hit parts of Florida. I hope that you will continue to keep them in your prayers. A lot of devastation down there, a lot of devastation. As of 11 a.m. this morning, our teams are reporting here in Jacksonville 435 power outages. That's amazing. I want you to understand that's amazing. Hopefully you recognize how amazing that is. It was at 13,761 at peak around 3 a.m. Overall, though, JEA has restored 39,000 outages during this process. There were 30 weather-related calls to JFRD, 384 to JSO, 14 emergency road access teams or swift water rescue team calls, and all these numbers are way down from Hurricane Helene. So there's some speculation among this group that Helene actually, as awful as it was here, did us a favor and cleared a bunch of stuff out. And since we didn't have the rainfall we were initially expecting, we ended up with a much better scenario. Our 6 shelters had 777 people sheltering at our peak. Did I say 600? I meant 777, if that's not what I said, 777. That's 724 general population, 53 special medical needs, and as of 11 a.m., we had a total of 534 people still remaining in our shelters. A lot of those folks came up, or we don't know how many actually, I shouldn't say a lot. We know a number of those folks came up from other areas that were hard hit by the storm. So the shelters are going to remain open, especially for that reason, until 8 a.m. tomorrow morning. Then we're going to start to close them down by noon tomorrow. And folks are obviously free and welcome to stay or go at any time they think is appropriate. EOC, Duval County Emergency Operations Center, is going to remain fully activated today as we keep shelters open and have water rescue teams on standby with street flooding that we expect this afternoon. Our local state of emergency will end on Friday at 5 p.m. So in terms of return to work and school, a reminder that our non-essential city employees will return to work on Monday, and all of our City of Jacksonville employees the same. The same is true for all of our constitutional officers. Duval County Public Schools will be fully operational on Monday, but it was already a scheduled teacher planning day. So they will be there, but students will remain at home on Monday. We are very grateful for the partnership with Dr. Bernier and his team on the shelters and the storm response. They have been absolutely invaluable and just heroes in this whole process. The City of Neptune beach offices will remain closed on Friday. Atlantic and Jacksonville Beach will be open. So if you're in Neptune, closed. Atlantic and Jacksonville open. JTA routes are clear. They are reopened as normal bus service at 9 a.m. this morning. The only flood detour still in place right now is Route 19. That's Market Street between First and Orange near FSCJ downtown, but it is still running. The St. Johns River Ferry, Skyway, and Clay County Flex Magenta Line will reopen tomorrow. On those tiger dams that you've heard so much about and that many of you were out at, we've heard a lot of good feedback from the beaches and the community on those tiger dams that were installed at the beach access points. But while we appreciate very much the excitement, we have gotten reports from our mayors out there that a lot of folks are standing on the dunes, which is trampling those sprigs that we just planted for the new sea oats. It's extraordinarily important that you stay off those dunes. If we want that beach renourishment to continue to work at its best, those things need to flourish, and people need to stay off of them as they're getting settled. So if you're going to go out and take a look, please stay off the dunes. As far as gas stations go, Gate Petroleum was working on reopening all of their stations as of early this morning. And JFRD, I want to brag again for a moment on our ERAT teams. They're closing out tickets and they're going to remain in service through the afternoon. We're keeping swift water rescue teams in place for the street flooding we expect this afternoon, and they're working with the state on sending personnel to the hardest hit parts of Florida. In fact, I want to give you the latest on those teams that I told you we sent out yesterday. Those 12 teams that went out, they were in Ocala as a staging area until 2 a.m. this morning. They were sent out at 2 a.m. And as I told you, they are the elite teams of the state. So they were sent to the hardest hit area, which was determined to be Treasure Island, which is one of those little barrier islands that borders Sarasota. And they are there now clearing roads and doing their best to rescue folks that are there. So really so incredibly grateful to them. JSO last night, there were no conditions that caused us to close the bridges. Today, JSO has traffic units on standby to shut down any flooded streets this afternoon. They're also working with the state on support requests to help down in Central Florida. As far as Public Works is concerned, they are monitoring the tiger dams and pumps during the flooding that is expected this afternoon. We still have those pumps in place in San Marco. We still have the tiger dams in the areas that we already told you about. The tree crews are currently working 17 tickets. In comparison, there were 293 of those in Hurricane Helene. Our waste pickups for today are rescheduled for Thursday. Friday pickups will happen as scheduled. Is that still right? Okay. All right. Very good. That's today. Thursday, Saturday. Thursday. Waste pickups for Thursday are going to be Saturday. Okay. As yard waste pickup resumes, please be mindful that it will take 2 to 3 cycles to pick up all the debris. So please don't put out more debris than our 5 cubic yard limit at a time that we told you about last time. I know everybody wants the debris picked up as quickly as possible, and we are doing our very best to make sure that we can do that. Just a couple of things. Yesterday we told you, this is just good news stuff. We told you about the City Council, JTA, JEA, and Jacksport donating $300,000 to our local Red Cross. Well, I'm thrilled to tell you now that the Jacksonville Jaguars Foundation is kicking in another $50,000 for the Red Cross, and we're very grateful to them, Shad Khan and Mark Lamping, for that additional contribution. So that's $350,000 to our local Red Cross, who is just doing so much good work during all of this. So thank you to them. I think I have given you the update about our ERAT team, and I want to say again about that team. They are the same team that was in Madison when Helene hit, then went to North Carolina, then came back here and had one night of sleep, and then went back out and are in Treasure Island this morning. So just grateful to JFRD, JSO, the line crews that make up those teams. They're just incredible humans. As far as transportation is concerned, the airport is still open. Airport never closed. There were 25 flights that were canceled as far as we can tell. Passengers, though, are strongly encouraged to check with their respective airlines to verify if their flights are on schedule. Jacksport remains closed today, and they anticipate reopening shore operations tomorrow. They're also coordinating the Carnival Elation cruise ship arrival pending a sign-off from the Coast Guard. And I think if you parked your car in one of the city-owned garages downtown or at the King Street garage, it will be free of charge through tomorrow. And I want to make sure that you all know too, because we've had some questions from people who said that they were concerned about security at those garages. JSO, as we told you initially, is making sure that there's security at every one of those garages. So don't worry about your cars if they're there. They have been and will continue to patrol that area for security. If you see a down power line, please call 630 City. And if you suspect it's a safety issue or something is sparking, of course, we want you to call 911. Our Jack's Ready dashboard that we told you about yesterday is up and fully functional. We've had another 10,000 visitors to that dashboard just overnight. So people are really utilizing it, and we appreciate it because we're putting all the latest information on Jack's Ready. But you can go onto the dashboards and select Jack's Ready and see exactly how that's working. I am really, really proud to say that we've had more than 128,000 citizens that have used that website since we started with this storm process, and that's 4 times what we had with Helene. So people really are doing that. I think that is all that I have for you. So please feel free to ask questions as you wish.
We have gotten a little bit of information, just kind of where they're at right now, but obviously they're all working extremely hard, and so we don't hear a lot of communication when that's going on, and communication is very limited in that area right now. So they're working in some areas that are devastated, as the mayor mentioned, and they'll continue to do that until we have made sure that everybody down there has been rescued. But it is a great partnership between the line crews and JFRD and JSO, and is really becoming a national best model, as we heard out of North Carolina.
We had sort of a best case scenario in Jacksonville. Is there any plan to send additional team members down to the south?
So we actually have received some potential requests coming from the state, and we're working on seeing if we can staff those as we speak. And once we have that determination made, we'll make those announcements.
Anything else? All right, folks, thank you very, very much. Appreciate your time and attention and your help in disseminating all this information. Glad that we had the scenario that we had. Always grateful and very mindful of what the folks down in Central Florida are dealing with. So thank you again, and this will be our last update of this storm here. Okay, thank you so much. Big step out.